I know I'm like a month late with this video. Bowser's Fury came out on the 12th of February. It is now like the 4th or 5th of March. It took me a lot longer than I expected to finish the game, but that's because I was doing all the post-game content for 3D World before I played Bowser's Fury, and I wanted to beat both modes first instead of doing two separate videos. But regardless, I'm doing this review anyway, and because I have some thoughts about this game. This is the first time I ever got to play Super Mario 3D World. I didn't own a Wii U. I wanted one, but I never managed to get one. And Mario 3D World was one of the games that I wanted. I own Mario 3D Land on the 3DS, so naturally I wanted to pick up 3D World because it seemed like the same thing but for console. And I feel really fortunate that it finally came to the Switch, because it feels like Nintendo is acknowledging people like myself who never got to play 3D World or many of the other Wii U ports that have come out since the beginning of the Switch. Also, what do I think of the actual game now that I've actually gotten to play it? It does play a lot like Super Mario 3D Land. The core gameplay is the same. The way the environments are kind of stylized, the art style in general is very much like a more polished version of 3D Land. There are some key differences, most noticeably being this game's heavy emphasis on the catsuit. And I don't like how sometimes the catsuit is kind of necessary for completion in some levels. This game kind of feels more open in some aspects. When I'm doing the levels and I'm looking for the green stars, sometimes I feel like I have a lot more freedom than I got in previous Mario games, even in 3D Land, because I can follow the path to go around, to go up this little hill to get the green star, or I can use the catsuit to climb up the wall and get it, and I feel like it gives players more options like that, and that was something that became immediately apparent very early on when I was playing the game, and so that was welcome. But as I said, sometimes the catsuit is necessary to beat the level. And in one extremely noticeable instance, there was a level on, I believe it was World Star, where you needed to use the catsuit to beat the level, but the level doesn't give you the catsuit. In fact, you have to go elsewhere to find the catsuit. And that brings me to one problem I did have with 3D World, and it's toad houses. For some reason, for the first time ever in the Mario franchise, to my knowledge anyway, they don't respawn. In the new Super Mario Bros. Series, in 3D Land, in every Mario game ever, you would use a toad house and then they would respawn usually after you did like a level or two. In this game, they don't respawn unless you get a game over, basically. And so that was a big problem when I was trying to get some of the stars I missed later on. I couldn't get any items because there was no toad houses around, and it was a bit of a pain. In fact, I found myself using two separate save files and loading the other one if I didn't get the item I needed in some houses. As for the actual difficulty of the levels themselves, on the Wii U, Super Mario 3D World was noticeably slow. They've improved the speed and how fast everything is. And I gotta say, Mario's movement is off to me personally. I don't know how many other people feel like this, but maybe I'm just bad at it, but is the triple jump not a thing in this game? Because every time I've tried it, I cannot do it. So, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but the triple jump, Mario's iconic move that everyone associates with him, isn't in the game. And on top of that, movement is faster, but when you're jumping, sometimes it feels like you can't really slow yourself down. So if you're trying to do some platforming sections over like a big drop, sometimes you might miss the platform if you're not being careful with your speed. It is something you'll get used to, but it takes getting used to. And I mean, I guess it's alright for a challenge maybe, but it feels off. I don't like that aspect to it at all. I would prefer to be more natural for a Mario game, but for some reason that's the way they decided to do it. The levels themselves, I feel like Mario 3D Land was more creative and more fun in how it approached levels. Yes, they were very textbook Mario levels, but they all ended. Every single level in 3D Land ended in a unique way that was specific to that level. 3D World doesn't do that, and 3D World also copies a lot of the kind of... It feels like it's copying a lot from 3D Land. Even though 3D World spices up its levels far more than 3D Land does. In fact, the levels in this game are more diverse because they add things like where you would use a touchscreen to lift certain panels, or the Captain Toad levels, or I was going to say the mystery houses, but those were a thing in 3D Land as well. But this game does do some new things to spice up its gameplay, but it's small compared to the amount of stuff that feels like it was copied from 3D Land. And I guess I can understand why they did it. Putting these ideas on a home console Mario game might work a bit better. I don't know, honestly. The hub worlds themselves are a bit strange because you can move around three-dimensionally for once. You're not just following the path and that's the only movement you can do. You can go off the path. Your movement is a bit slower and your jumps are not as high here, but it's not a big deal. There's nothing to do except go into the actual courses, so that's whatever, I guess. For me though, I think the strengths of 3D World shine post-game. For me, when you beat Bowser in World Bowser is when the game's strengths shine. It's when the game starts getting difficult, and it's when the things start really standing out. Plessy was the thing in the first few levels of this game. I didn't like him at all. I found him very awkward and cumbersome to use. It was a bit more okay in Bowser's Fury, but in the main game, didn't like him at all. Wasn't that fun. But anyways, back to what I was saying. After you beat Bowser and you start doing the 4 challenge worlds, things get more interesting here. Some of the levels are just copy and pastes of levels you've beaten at the start of the game, but with new challenges like a time limit or things you have to collect, stuff like that. But it's the difficulty, it's the upskill and difficulty that feels rewarding, and when you beat these levels you get a genuine sense of accomplishment because some of them get pretty difficult. And I want to say as well, the boss fights in this game are actually unique and pretty fun. In 3D Land, it's been a while since I've played it, but I only remember Pom Pom and Boom Boom. I don't really remember any of the other bosses in those games, in that game. So that's a strength 3D World has over that game, is its bosses. They're memorable. They all have their own unique mechanics and they're all distinct from each other. None of them are particularly difficult, but they all offer their own ideas to the table. And that's something that I can appreciate, at least from a Mario game anyway. The house themselves, their challenges, they're pretty easy, but they are stressful because you have like 10 seconds to do a lot of them, and a lot of time when you first do them, you're going to die a lot because it takes you a few seconds to completely realize what you're supposed to do. And that's fine. Like with the final Toad House in the game, in World of Crown, I actually found that a lot of fun despite how stressful that could get. Because it was upscaling difficulty, but I felt like I was still throwing new things my way, if that makes sense. Obviously, I'm a massive Mario Galaxy fan, so I gotta talk about World Star and World Crown because playing as Rosalina was just incredible to me. And I loved the reference in the music. Apparently the composer for Mario Galaxy did the music for this game as well, so I appreciate the little callbacks and references to Mario Galaxy. The fact that some of the levels in World Star were references to Mario Galaxy. You had Super Galaxy, I think was one of them, which was obvious what that was hinting at. And you did another that was like a honey climb walkway or something that was referencing the Honeycomb Galaxy. And just little small things like this and the Mario Galaxy music that would play, it really made the game more special to me in that sense. And once I unlocked Rosalina, I was playing as her for pretty much the entire thing. And then when I went back to play as Mario, I found it pretty awkward because I feel like jumping on enemies in this game is a bit awkward because of the physics of how Mario moves. Whereas it's a lot more easier to just spin into them as Rosalina. And having played Mario Galaxy on the Switch now as well, it feels more natural. That's just a personal thing, but It's what I was feeling at the time I was playing it. And then it all culminates in Champions Road, what people call the ultimate challenge of 2D platformers, of at least in Mario anyway. I'm someone who beat Grandmaster Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 when I was a child. I haven't played it in a long time, so I don't know if I'd still be able to beat it. I remembering it being challenging, but it was manageable after a while. Darker Side of the Moon in Mario Odyssey was down impossible to me. I had to use a little cheat system you could do that like helped walk you through the level or something. That was the only way I was able to beat it. And the Trial Galaxies in Mario Galaxy 1, they were alright enough. They weren't too challenging. I didn't know there was a secret level in 3D Land until recently, so I have no experience with that. I don't know what that's like, but Champions Road, I beat this as Rosalina. Throughout the whole thing, you know, I was getting very frustrated because I felt like it was easy. It never felt too hard, but at the same time, I kept dying way too much. And I couldn't tell if it was actually because the level was difficult or if I was just being stupid at it. And I kept telling myself that, no, this is just easy. I'm making mistakes. But then I realized that if you're trying to play this as Mario or Luigi or Toad, yeah, it's really hard because Rosalina and Peach have the spin attack and floating jump. So the bleep block sections are a lot easier. In fact, they're pretty easy to just ignore with those characters. But if you're playing as Mario or anyone else, it can be an absolute nightmare. And I was trying to do it without power-ups as well. When I finally beat it, I had to use a Tanuki leaf because it was just taking too long. I was getting so fed up. And the completionist in me wants to just beat it without items and wants to do it as Mario and the others, but I don't think I will. It's a very deceptive level, honestly. It looks easy. It feels easy. But there's something about it that's not. And it is quite the challenge. And when you beat it though, the sense of euphoria you get is pretty worth it. It pays off in the end, I think. But those are my thoughts on 3D Worlds overall. It's a fun game. I think 3D Land is better. I think it offered more ideas. Its levels, I think, were more fun. The movement was less awkward. But that's not to say 3D World is bad. It is a good game. It's a great 3D Mario game. But it's lower on the list for me. So what about Bowser's Fury? I spent 2 weeks on Champions Road before I finally got to Bowser's Fury yesterday. What did I think of that? Bowser's Fury is actually a case of what you see is exactly what you're getting. There's no misleading in the trailers. You're getting exactly what you see. The moment you start off, you see Bowser like within 10 seconds and you're so intimidated. It's actually, for the first time ever, Bowser in a Mario game is actually intimidating and somewhat scary because you're panicking, you're rushing because he will absolutely destroy you immediately if you get anywhere near him, or even if you're not near him. So when he shows up, it is a lot of panic, but when Bowser's not there, the levels themselves are fun and they all have their unique ideas. It does feel very Mario Odyssey-esque, except I think a bit better. One of my problems with Mario Odyssey is that it didn't really feel like a Mario game at certain points. If they were to make another 3D Mario game, in the Odyssey style, but with the level designs and ideas from Bowser's Fury, it would be a lot better for me. Bowser's Fury isn't perfect, in fact it's flawed, but I think it's proof of concept. It's just to show us what the next 3D Mario could be and see what fans would think of it. And I think it works pretty well as that. And obviously the music is incredible in this, especially when you're fighting Bowser. And the fights themselves, a lot of people think they're just okay. Some people love them, some people don't. I had fun with them. It did get repetitive. The camera was weird and broken at some points, but other than that, the fights themselves, they were good. I wasn't sure entirely what to expect, but they were good. But when Bowser's not there and you're able to explore the world and take your time, there is a lot to do. And for the first time ever, you can carry more than 2 items. There's even inventory and you can carry 5 of each item, and you'll have like 30 items all at once. And that seems like a lot. It seems like it would break the game, but once Bowser shows up, you're gonna go through all of those items really quickly. So it's weirdly balanced, and I think they could make it work in a full-length Mario game in the future as well. The shrines themselves, there's a lot of sunshine references in Bowser's Fury. Which is funny because like the main game has like Mario Galaxy references, and so this has sunshine references. I didn't even cop the Shadow Luigi reference at first. I was just confused as to why it was Shadow Luigi, not Shadow Mario. And it was only later on that I was like, oh yeah, we had Shadow Mario in Sunshine. Now we have Shadow Luigi. Duh. Along with other things like the shines and the paint itself even. So for fans of Mario Sunshine, there's going to be some cool references in there. I'm not a fan of Sunshine. I despise that game with a passion. It traumatized me, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, overall, Bowser's Fury, it's a fun little side game. It works on its own. A good taster of ideas that can be perfected in a full-length game. It is a bit short, as we expected, and time goes past really quickly when you're playing it, but you will have some fun with it. If you've played 3D World before and you only want to get it now because of Bowser's Fury, I'm not sure I can say it's worth it just for Bowser's Fury, because I don't think there's enough content there to justify €60. But if you think there is, by all means go for it. But if you're like me and you've never played 3D World and you wanted to, it's definitely worth it, because I have like 30 hours in, 25 from like the main game alone because of how long I spent doing some of the hardcore challenges at the end. Overall, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury offers quite a bit of challenge. It will keep you occupied for some time, and there's a lot of references to older Mario games here that are fun and will probably make you nostalgic in certain parts. But yeah, those are just my thoughts and opinions. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. What do you think of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury? Did you play the original on the Wii U? How do you think it compares to the Switch version? What do you think of Bowser's Fury? Is it good? Is it bad? I want to hear everything you have to say down in the comment section below. And yeah, with that all said, thank you all for watching and please subscribe. Novus Corvus out.